Hello guys, welcome back to Spice Channel TV. On today's news report, the National Assembly has resolved to ensure that states and local government and organized private sectors stop defaulting on the payment of the approved minimum wage. A source had revealed that the National Assembly may even consider seizing allocations of state and local governments that fails to comply with the new minimum wage. This is as the National Assembly announced plans to include a clause that will provide clear sanctions for defaulters of the new minimum wage bill that will be passed after receiving the wage award bill from President Bola Tinubu. The National Treasurer of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Hakeem, had called for the political will to enforce sanctions against states, against local governments, and members of the organized private sector not complying with minimum wage laws. And according to him, the National Assembly's move was not new, adding that the former Minimum Wage Act also contained clauses for sanctions even though they were not strong enough to deter defaulters. And such clauses have always been in the bill. This will not be the first time that they would be included in the bill, but the political will to enforce these things really matter, and they've not been provisions enough. So if the Senate can do the needful and also oversee the implementation, it would be the best thing for the Nigerian workers. And regarding sanctioning these defaulters, they said that any sanction imposed should be strong enough to deter them from disobeying the law. See, for the state governments that haven't fully complied with the 30k minimum wage payment, all those in that category have been identified by Labour, and some of them have started approving the new minimum wage. So this is to show that the inability or the deliberate refusal to pay was due to the lack of priority of workers. Sadly, they were doing themselves harm because workers are the engine rooms that drive development, and they say a happy and well-motivated worker is a good asset to productivity and development. So this is the new moves by the National Assembly to make sure they seize state allocations, those that fail to comply with the directives of the federal government. The National Assembly are making plans to seize allocations of state and federal government, those that fail to comply with the minimum wage approval of the federal government to their various states, because the National Assembly have made this plan that after Tinubu has passed or has received the minimum wage bill and pass it out to the public, they would implement this bill. And according to them, it is possible that the president will send out the bill after the National Assembly resumed from the Salah recess on July 2nd. And Tinubu had made it known that on his Democracy Day message he was sending to Nigerians, he promised that he would forward a bill on the new minimum wage to the National Assembly soon, although Nigerians should know that he will only pay what his government can afford. That was what he said. See, the thing about this minimum wage is that they should know that if they are giving the Nigerian workers something that is not sustainable, then it's best that they should place a minimum wage for politicians. Yes, Nigeria needs to shut down and change its system of government such that successive governments only have responsibility of implementing the goals set by the previous government within the described timelines. The new government aren't supposed to be thinking much but implementation. Plans to become a producing country in all dimensions. They should change the narrative. They should change the ideologies. This is a way to catch up with other different countries. Now there must be a consequences for those that fails to not comply with the federal government's directives. This is a good move. I like this action to be taken on them decisively. It is quite a good move. if it was the federal government that won't pay that minimum wage, now it's the states at all levels of government in Nigeria, and they are entirely corrupt. Some people are telling me that the federal government does not have power over the state, even when I keep telling them that FG has the right to compel the state to pay minimum wage. They insulted me. Now look at what is happening. Okay guys, these are reactions from Nigerians. E be like say wahala go dey o. This one that the National Assembly are planning on seizing state allocations of some certain states that fails to comply with the approved minimum wage. This will bring about a lot of problems. So, but if we want to look at it on a brighter angle, it will pave way for the implementations of the proposed minimum wage by the federal government. There's absolutely nothing wrong in that, although a lot may see it as a harsh approach, towards the minimum wage implementation. But then this would bring about the state governors being serious. You see, this is all about will. When Governor Obaseki, implemented the 70K minimum wage, nobody had forced him to do so. Although people said that he did it because his tenure wasn't up to 6 months, and he wanted people to support, the incoming candidate, that is Asue Ihodalo. That was why he did such a thing. That if Ihodalo comes up as the governor of the state, if he wins the election, he might reverse that move made by the governor of Edo State, Governor Godwin Obaseki. So as they have said it, let it be done that all state governors, all local governments must comply with the directives of the federal government. And I really hope that the federal government would come up with a reasonable amount, a sustainable amount. What the Nigerian workers need is living wage, not minimum wage. Minimum wage is like they are putting a hold on the salaries of the Nigerian workers. But then they say a happy worker, a happy and a motivated worker leads to a more productive country. If the Nigerian workers are not happy, if they are not satisfied, if they are not motivated, how can we be productive enough in this country? With the series of strikes we've been seeing ever since October, I mean, this has really put a dent on our productivity when we are shouting that, oh, Nigeria should be a productive nation. But if the Nigerian workers are not motivated, how can we be a productive nation? How can productivity improve in this country? So in regards to the sanctioning of those state governors and local governments that would not comply, I think it is a big move by the National Assembly to go ahead with what they have said. So guys, I'm dropping here. Kindly share your thoughts on this in the comment section.